returning here, but we had a lot on display out front, and we wanted to allow you extra time to visit, and a lot of nice displays put on out there. So I want to thank you for coming today. My name is Brad Hershey. Like I said, my parents are Art and Joyce Hershey, and she was a Uber, and I'm in the farm machinery business up in Mifflintown, Pennsylvania. So that's where I'm from, and that'll be my introduction for today. Anyway, welcome everyone, whether you're a descendant of Christian in Ada or not, we welcome you today. We know that I don't think we have anybody here today from young Christian, that would be Christian's son, who arrived later than 1717, or whether you're from Benjamin, Anna, or Andrew. We welcome you today. I have a feeling there's a lot here that are descendants from Andrew. But anyway, there's a lot of Hersheys here representing different states. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. One thing that I wanted to share with you is something that was a Topher prayer that was shared in July 2007 in Langnau, Switzerland. Before we turn it over to Claire for some songs. This prayer was from a coming together meeting of the United States Anabaptists in the Reformed State Church of Switzerland. It was held in Langnau in July 2007, as I mentioned. They reached out to us because they were unaware of our persecution. Let us pray. O Lord of creation of heaven and earth, we have gathered from different directions, and we stand in awe. The children of those who had to leave this region are here. The children of those who had to undertake troublesome journeys have returned. And the children of those who stayed behind are here. We thank you, eternal God, that you have walked us through this time. We thank you that you were with us on our journeys, even when we went wrong. We thank you for staying at our side. We praise you for your faithfulness. Jesus Christ, you are the way in which we walk. You are the truth in which we rely upon. We ask you to help us each other with an open heart and with respect. Fill our hearts with your living hope through your Spirit, who unites into one what was separated, and who is able to bridge the gulf between different people groups and communities. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. I want to give tribute to Dorothy Bergstrom, the minister in Switzerland that had that prayer. Now I want to turn it over to Claire Hershey-Lehman, who's going to lead us in a couple songs. Claire wants you to know that he is privileged to be a descendant of the Hersheys and a recipient of this great family heritage. Claire.
Can you cut that back a bit more?
Well, that was a great introduction. I wanted to say that it's been, as a part of the Hershey family, it's been amazing for the years that I've lived now. Many times we get together and we sing. And God has given a tremendous gift to this family, and we've had a wonderful time of singing over the years. So today we're going to be singing some here at the beginning, and then we'll be singing more later this afternoon. But I'm going to encourage you to sing in parts, and we will sing a cappella. If it gets too bad, we'll add the piano, but I don't think it's actually add, I think it's a great action. So we're going to begin today with, you take a hymnal, number 7, O Worship the Lord. We're going to start with that one, and we will finish with that one. We will sing the song, I Owe the Lord a Morning Song, which is on the back of your program. It's printed there for you. So we'll start today with O Worship the Lord, and if you would like to stand, you're welcome to stand, but if that's a problem for you, that's fine too. Number 7. Oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, in the beauty of holiness, in the beauty of holiness. Glory to the Father, abounding in mercy. Be joyful, all ye people, and magnify Jehovah. Oh, glory, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, come before his presence and glorify his name. Oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, in the beauty of holiness, in the beauty of holiness. Glory to Jesus, our gracious Redeemer. We praise Him, for He loved us and won the great salvation. Oh, glory, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, come before His presence and glorify His name. Oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, in the beauty of holiness, in the beauty of holiness. Glory to the Spirit of Holy Redeemer. We praise Him with the Father and with the Son, our Savior. Oh, glory, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, come before His presence and glorify His name. Great. Now, take the song on the back of the program, I Owe the Lord a Morning Song. And leave the version still sing. If you don't mind, I don't like to sing when I'm directing because I like to hear you sing to you instead of singing most of the time. I owe the Lord a morning song of
Thank you, Claire. Appreciate all of you singing too. I just want to point out a couple notes. If you're asking what the cement mixer is for, we're not going to be mixing cement this afternoon. And there's a cup here on my right. I think that's in preparation probably for tomorrow's service here at Manor. So if you're curious about what these props are for, you'll have to come tomorrow. But we do have some gifts here that I'll be handing out later when we do some trivia questions. Many of our committee worked hard bringing together information that I think will be truly enjoyable for you to learn today. Some of it's information from Switzerland. There's a lot of faith stories, and we're just really excited about the program that we put together. I'll introduce the committee members later, but right now I want to turn it over to Donna, and she will share with one of the things I think you're looking forward to, the introduction of this book. And it's not Fergie. And if you can't roll your R deep down in your throat, you say Borga. But if you want to really know how to say it, you listen to Donna. It's sort of like Borga.
Does that put the pressure on to do it right? I am very pleased and honored to introduce a video documentary that has been prepared for this special event specifically. The 300-year reunion of the Christian and Adelheid family in America. When people travel for such a purpose as researching family history, they prepare an itinerary to accomplish their goals. So when my husband, Wilson, and I visited folks in Switzerland, Germany, and France this past May, we definitely laid well-defined plans. And my nephew and wife, Kent and Ashley Mast, professional photographers, accompanied us. In many ways, we were surprised when events beyond our imagination simply fell into our path, as you will see in this video. And one of our special hopes was fulfilled, that of photographing looming storm-like clouds hanging over Hogart, the present name for the mountain called Die Vorderbe, auf Deutsch. These looming clouds define the troublesome setting in the book entitled Vorderbe, which you will receive today as a complimentary gift for coming. And the photo appears on this cover. In this video documentary, the Anabaptist story is woven around author Katrina Zimmermann's statements about her book, in which one of the main characters is Christian Hirschi. He and his wife become Anabaptists. Also, most impressive to me is the fact that author Katrina and Ruth Schwertfeger, who skillfully translated this book into English from the Old German, are both very fluent in German and English. Having studied a bit of German, that is just totally impressive to me, that one can handle two languages so well, and without that skill, this book would not be for us to receive today in the English language. We will hear from Ruth in a bit, after the video presentation. Also, we give our Swiss guide, Hans-Rudy Henny, the same credit for knowing both languages well and his personable introduction to us of many folks and places over there in Switzerland. I'm very grateful for these people. Also, those listed in the acknowledgments at the end of the video, each had a very special key part. And without each one, this video would not have been possible. We present to you our Hershey's story prior to 1717.
I don't have it plugged in. I get that ambient sound. It's really strange. I don't have any. This comes from you. Oh, here. Hey, maybe. Hey, I'm supposed to be.
Where in Europe did our family live before?
Why did they leave? Do we have Hershey relatives living there today? These questions have always intrigued us. Many names have been associated with the Hersheys over the years. Hirsch is German for deer. The red stag, the deer hunter, and characteristics of the deer, for one reason or another, all of these have been associated with our Hershey name. The Hirsche and Hirschi coats of arms all feature the red stag. Where did the Hersheys live? We are certain Hersheys lived in Switzerland, that beautiful, tiny country where every turn in the road offers a new picture to capture. Geographically, Switzerland is 1/3 the size of Pennsylvania, with 2/3 as many people. Today, there are 26 cantons, or tiny states in Switzerland. In 1291, 3 cantons formed the original Swiss Confederation. By 1353, there were 8 cantons in the Confederation, including Zurich and Bern. By the 1500s, each canton still operated independently, setting and enforcing its own laws, deciding whether the official church would be Roman Catholic or Reformed. In 1528, in Bern, however, this was not a democratic decision. Rather, 200 aristocrats, noblemen of the city of Bern, decided that the canton should become reformed. For many years, our family was certain that our forefathers came from the Appenzell, which is located about 50 miles southeast of Zurich. Appenzell, one of the most traditional areas, is known for beautiful scenery, its dairy industry, and very strong cheese. Today, some of its mountains are a weekend playground. Our ancestors lived in the canton of Appenzell before emigrating. So say the family genealogy books by Scott Hershey in 1910, Henry Hershey in 1929, and Evie Hershey in 1959. Further, in 1912, Milton Hershey chaired a Hershey reunion, and the program booklet stated that the Hersheys lived in Appenzell. In 2009, Anton Josef Herrsche, 4th-generation owner of Bazar Herrsche in Appenzell, provided this genealogy, which appears to be common to ours before 1673. Dozens of Herrsches still live in the Appenzell area. Johann Herrsche II and Johann Herrsche III are pictured here on their farm. The wife of Johann II is shown here in the center. The Appenzell ladies wear these traditional costumes to services about 6 times per year. Also, some of the old-time family names of the wives of Hersheys, such as Dürrich, are still common in Appenzell. Glad to know we came from Appenzell. Or maybe not. Research over the last 40 years seems to indicate that Christian Hirschi came from Schangnau to the canton of Bern. Bern is about 75 miles southwest of Zurich, and Schangnau is located about 30 miles southeast of the city of Bern. The 1989 book by Noah Hirschi, The Cambridge Genealogy Research, plus a research thesis done by David Johnson, support Hirschis as having lived near Schangnau. An Appenzeller historian, Professor Peter Hirsche, examined the possible relationship of the American Hirschis and the Appenzeller Hirsches. In a 2008 article, Peter concluded that one of his own ancestors had constructed the kinship, perhaps hoping to gain from Milton Hirschi's enormous fortune. Unfortunately, a gap of 70 years exists in the church records of Schangnau because they were burned during the Second Wurmberger War with the Catholics. Thus, no records exist of the ancestors of the various Christian Hirschis who left for the Jura, the Alsace, and the Palatinate. But it is quite clear from church records after 1682 that these Hirschis and other Anabaptists, or Reformed, all came from the Schangnau area. The Schangnau area is still quite rural, with mostly farming-related activities. The cows are often taken to meadows farther up the mountains in the spring, returning about 100 days later. It is quite an occasion as the cows are outfitted with bells and flowers, and the workers wear traditional costumes. Further, a Swiss historical novel entitled Die Forge by Katharina Zimmermann, published after 8 years of research, covers the story of many of the Anabaptists from the Schangnau area of Switzerland. Die Forge is the old name for this mountain, now known as Hogant. Kristen and Madeleine Hirschi are two of the main characters in the book. Kristen Hirschi is so consumed by the desire to meet Madeleine that he pretends to need a cow and purchases one from her father. This house is on the farm known as the Wegli, which was Madeleine's home. Perhaps 2 miles east is Schwand, Kristen's home, shown here as it existed around 1900. Farms still exist today on these sites.
There are no fiction names in my book. Every name I use was a real name and belonged to a real person at that time.
Thanks to Ruth Schwertfeger's tireless translation work and her consultation with Katharina, this book is now available in English from Masthof Press in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, and also online. Why did the Hirschis leave? Trouble soon surfaces for the Anabaptists of the region and grows into a looming storm that tragically engulfs Kristen and Madeleine and some of their neighbors. In the early 1500s, the Zwingli Reformation took hold in several cantons, including Zurich in 1523 and Bern in 1528. Zwingli's Reformed Church separated from the Roman Catholic Church just after Martin Luther's 1517 movement in Germany. At first, the soon-to-be Anabaptist leaders supported Zwingli, but then they separated over 6 prime issues, including non-resistance, separation of church and state, the adult baptism. They researched these conclusions after an intense study of the scriptures. Since most of these new Anabaptists had been baptized as infants, this second baptism resulted in the name Anabaptist, literally, again baptized. Soon, the Anabaptists were persecuted, arrested, imprisoned, and sometimes executed. Some were sent away as galley slaves, which many considered the worst punishment of all. Some property was confiscated. The amount confiscated depended on the percentage of Anabaptists in the family. In Bern, 1/3 of that confiscated went to the bailiff, 1/3 to the nobleman, and 1/3 to the church. from 1527 with the drowning of Felix Manz until 1848 when religious freedom was mandated by law. In January 1525, Manz had been rebaptized at his home along with George Blaurock and Conrad Grebel. This was bitterly opposed by Zwingli. A decree in 1526 made rebaptism punishable by death. To show his strong opposition, Zwingli had Manz drowned in a public place, in plain view, and in very close proximity to the church. Note the commemorative plaque along the river and the towers of the Grossmünster, the Reformed Church, across the Limmat River. The plaque was placed here in 2004. This statue in Zurich shows Zwingli holding a sword in one hand and a Bible in the other. The persecution of Anabaptists also was severe in the canton of Bern. The Martyr's Mirror records more than 20 deaths of Anabaptists in Bern, the last being Hans Hasselbacher in 1571. Many others were deported. Kristen and Madeleine and some of their neighbors were prime examples of these persecuted people, as you will find out by reading Die Folge.
Sat there on this small table and I got the oldest book, a small book, yellow book. I opened it and there was written, of course, in the old German handwriting, 1690. First baptism in church, a boy, his parents, godfather, godmother, Madeleine Schild. I got a card shutter on my back, you know. The first second I looked for this name, here it was. And it was for me like this woman would stand up before me and say, yes, do write down what I got through, what we all suffered. That was a very special moment.
Traxelwald Castle stands about 15 miles from Schangnau. Some Anabaptists were imprisoned here in the 1600s. A few Anabaptist hunters were criminals, released early from prison for the purpose of finding and arresting Anabaptists. Safety was typically found by fleeing to higher elevations, worshipping or hiding in caves such as the one near Baratzwil, or by moving to the cantons where persecution was less severe. During the 1600s and the early 1700s, Anabaptists moved to the Jura, to southern Germany, and some to France. Since they would have been foolish to leave records disclosing their plans, it is difficult today to discover their whole story. Adult children of Anabaptists had nothing to fear unless they too became Anabaptists. Dutch Anabaptists made loans to some of those fleeing, as is documented in this book by James Lowry. Near the middle of page 459, under the word Friedelsheim, this book lists loans made to a Christi Hirschi in Joost Abersold as newly arrived refugees. Note that the loans were for very basic necessities. Also note that both men were listed as having children living in Switzerland at the time. Even today, many Hirschis reside in the greater Schangnau area in the canton of Bern. So, was our family from Appenzell or Schangnau? One theory is that both the Hirschis and the Hirschis may have moved to Switzerland from the southern Alps and had been influenced by the Waldenesians, whose Anabaptist-like thoughts stood in opposition to the Catholic Church. Do we have relatives in Appenzell or Schangnau today? This year, one Hirschi from the Schangnau area, one Hirschi from about 8 miles away in Eckiville, and one Hirsche from the Appenzell took the Y chromosome DNA test. What did we find? But wait, there is another possibility. Several Hirschi families currently live near the Birkenhof in the Alsace region of France, a place about 12 miles west of the Rhine and 20 miles west of Basel, Switzerland. The Birkenhof, though too tiny to be called a village, does consist of these homes, a Mennonite church, and cemetery. Jean-Jacques Hirschi, shown here with a 1780 Martyr's Mirror, said his family moved to Birkenhof in the early 1700s. Before that, they lived in Schangnau, Switzerland, and Germany. His grandfather Christian donated the land to build the church. Many Hirschis lived there, and several still do. Do we have relatives in Switzerland, France, or Germany today? Yes, we do. DNA testing has confirmed that we have quite a few Hirschi relatives in the canton of Bern, Schangnau, Eckwil, Langnau, and surrounding areas. We are not closely related to the Hirsches in Appenzell. We also have Hirschi relatives in the Alsace region of France. This map shows the approximate location of the Birkenhof in the southeast corner of France, and Friedrichshain, Germany, to the north. 3 hours north of the Birkenhof lies the small 1,000-person village of Friedrichshain, also about 12 miles west of the Rhine. Dr. Paul Richter and Karl Urban, two retirees, have been doing research on the Hirschis that lived in Friedrichshain to determine whether they were related to Milton Hirschi. They have found village records which indicate that a Christian Hirschi, his family, and perhaps 60 other Mennonites lived there beginning around 1670. Some Mennonites still live there and attend the Mennonite church. Dr. Richter said it is very important to him to determine whether these Hirschis were the ancestors of Milton Hirschi. While most of the Hirschis left in 1717, one Christian Hirschi stayed until 1739. The dates in these Friedrichshain records almost perfectly match those we have of our family. No Hirschis lived in Friedrichshain after 1739. Here is Friedrichshain as it likely appeared back then. Even though the ruler of the town invited Anabaptist families to live there, they were treated as second-class citizens. They were not allowed to own land. Assemblies were limited to 20 people, and proselytizing was forbidden. Furthermore, the village was burned twice by French invaders. Persecution drove Anabaptists from Switzerland to Germany and France. But the ongoing wars between France and Germany, as well as their second-class citizenship, caused many of them to be eager to move to America with its promise of religious and economic freedom, having been personally invited by William Penn and George Fox. Likely, in the spring of 1717, Christian Hirschi and some of his family left Friedrichshain for the last time, perhaps pausing to look back through one of these same village gates, shedding a tear for the place that never became a home. Then they turned resolutely toward the Rhine River to travel to the Netherlands and finally on to America.
That was exciting. Seeing it the second time through, I saw some things that I didn't see the first time through. Would the host committee please come forward? And while they're coming forward, I just wanted to ask Wilson. Wilson, is your nephew here? Okay, can she raise her hand? Your son is great in photography, so we just want to thank him for the photography that he provided in that. As our host committee is passing out the books, I just want to recognize them. Here is our chairman, Glenn. Raise your hand, Glenn. Vice chairman. Erica Herr, who was checking you in at the front, our secretary. Erica. There she is in the middle. Thank you, Erica. Leonard Groff is our secretary here in the middle. Henry and Kathy Hershey over here. Thank you. Wilson and Donna, you right here. Joanne Hess-Sechrist. Joanne, there you are. Anna Groff, and myself as your moderator. So anyway, I just want to thank you. I want to thank the committee for all their hard work putting this together. As they distribute this copy of this book, Ferga, it's available in English today for the first time. Each attendee will receive a free copy. Additional copies can be purchased at the book table today. If you would like to see this video again, there are two ways you can do that. A link is being installed today on our webpage that will allow anyone with Wi-Fi access to view it. That webpage is christianhershey.doodlekit.com. So if any of you are writing that down, I'll say it again. christianhershey.doodlekit.com. And you can see any of the committee members if you want to. There's also a link right off our webpage. If you would rather receive it on a